Coming up today, we'll share a chat that we had with William Crighton at Dashville Skyline.
When I'm on tour in Europe or wherever we go, there's people who've heard of Dashville Skyline.
I'll tell you about some fresh additions to the Newcastle live stream. And Dan will tell you how you can score 5,000 smackaroons to boost your music career. Produced on Awabakal and Warramai land, this is The Good Stuff, powered by BYD on Newcastle Live.
This is
Good.
good stuff.
The Good Stuff. Every single week, Big Bad Danny and I add fresh and heritage tunes to the Newcastle live stream, which spins local music 24/7. This week, we've added tune rags by Macy, Soy Boy, Velda, Camino Gold, and quite a few others. If you're sick of listening to the same old playlists and boring radio, then make the switch to the Newcastle live stream and support the homegrown music that's coming out from Newey. Head to newcastlelive.com.au or download the app to listen and blast it through your system. Good stuff. Last year, local muso William Crighton was my most listened to artist on Spotify, so obviously it's always an absolute pleasure to get to sit down and chat with him. Today, we're bringing you a chat that we had on site at Dashville Skyline over the weekend. So, I want to start off because we're obviously here in this gorgeous bush. How did you first come across Dashville, and what does it mean to you now, like the community that's here and supports you?
Well, Jules and I and the kids moved up from Burrinjuck. We were living down there when we wrote most of those songs for the first album, and we were kind of kicking around. And Jules's family is from up here, so we come up here and we heard about Dashville because we had played at Gumball in a band, in a duo band that Jules and I were in.
Yeah.
But we didn't really, it was like a flying visit, we just come in, left, knew it was a cool spot, didn't even meet Magpie that day.
No way.
Or Jess. And then just when I was living in Burrinjuck, Magpie and Jess were going around America. And they were going through Nashville, and we were just yarning for some reason. I said, I'll call in and see my mate Matt Sherrard. And they did, and they struck up a friendship and sort of started yarning that way. And then when we moved up here, we just come out and started working a little bit with Magpie, like a bit of gardening, a bit of knot tying. And and just automatically felt at home, and he's got a lovely family here, Dash and Colleen and Dan and all the everybody. It's a good spot, and so to play music here is special. It just feels like special ground,
Yeah.
With the trees. But we played the very first Dashville Skyline. We helped build the stage and whatnot, and Magpie was sort of fleshing out some ideas, and it was really good getting to know him through that process, and so he put us on to give us our first real break, so to speak, letting us play on the Friday night last on the very first Dashville Skyline. And
had you headlined before? Anything else?
No, hardly ever played those songs live before to people.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so we'd played a lot of music, Jules and I, and my brother and everybody, but we hadn't played those songs in that sort of new phase of what we were doing, and so it always feels like home for that reason. And then of course, the more you come, the more you fall in love with the people, you get to know them. It's just such a good community. All the volunteers who come out, and all the musicians, the local musicians, and it's a good vibe. It feels real out here.
Totally. What would you say are some things that have stayed the same since that first Skyline experience, and what are some of the biggest changes?
Well, Dashville's definitely more popular now. It's grown in reputation, and I mean, Gumball had been going for a while, but specifically Dashville Skyline, obviously that was the first one back then, so now it's a much more renowned festival. When I'm on tour in Europe or wherever we go, there's people who've heard of Dashville Skyline, so it's a good...
That's so cool!
It's a good thing. But nothing really changes, and everything changes. People change in a way, like we grow and we get older and we learn new lessons, but then you're still the same. It still feels the same here as when I come out the first time.
Wow. So you've had a pretty big year. You had a big trip over to Europe. Can you tell us a little bit about that, because it was your first Glasgow experience?
Yeah, it was Beans on Toast showed us around, and we stayed in his campsite, and what better way to experience Glasgow for the first time than with him. He's like the mayor of Glasgow. We walk around with him, people are coming up to him all the time and knows everybody at every stage, and he's a legend. So that was a wonderful intro, and we played some cool shows with good responses, and it's just good to play that historic festival. It's huge in scale to see that many people together,
it's mind-blowing.
All camping, and also not much violence,
Yeah,
I didn't see any violence or any, a lot of people having a good time and on all sorts of things, but no violence.
Yeah. So last night, I believe you debuted a song. Was it the debut?
Yeah, it was.
Technically?
Yeah.
Or at least in some form. Yeah. Can you tell us about that song?
Well, it was the only one we rehearsed and the only one we fucked up. And so,
it's always the way.
Yeah, it was. But here is a comfortable space, so I'd only just written it, so we thought, we'll give it a crack, and some of it worked and some of it needs work.
Yeah.
But it was. It
sounded very jammy last night, like.
Yeah, by a matter of default, us trying to find where we were.
Okay.
But it is a jammy song.
Yeah.
You can most of the songs you can make them that way. Sometimes that's a mechanism for me to get comfortable. Just, all right, we'll extend this section so I can get my head and figure out where we're going to go next. Because when you don't have a set list, or when you're kind of flying by it that way, it can be really cool and inspiring, but then you can also find yourself in the middle of a bloodbath, so you got to swim out, but it's exciting, and that's why I do it, and for better or for worse.
Beautiful. All right, well, it's been awesome to get to spend some time with you. Thanks so much for chatting, and I can't wait to hear some new music.
Thanks, Bonnie. Always good to yarn.
This is where it
Sounds good.
good stuff.
Applications for the 2023 Unified Music Grant are now open. Recipients of the grant will receive $5,000 dues to help them on their $5,000 dues to help them on their way in the music industry. Unified are looking to foster innovations that create a safer and more inclusive future for everyone in the industry. Past recipients like Tin Can Studio have gone on to make quite significant impacts in the local industry. Submissions closed on the 1st of November. To find out more, head to newcastlelive.com.au.
The good stuff. That's it for the good stuff today. I'd love to say a big thank you to William Crighton for dropping in for a chat. You can check out the full extended interview on our YouTube channel or via the Newcastle Live app. Thanks heaps for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow from 4 p.m. for more of the good stuff.